Yay, I won.
Bollocks. Anyway, do women have rights? That's the question. And one man's opinion is, I don't know, which is the opinion of an absolute nobody, a complete lunatic who has no influence whatsoever, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Right, so this is the story, and I thought we'd mention this off first, which is that you may remember Imran Khan defending the Taliban in a rather colourful manner, and he decided to do this by saying that the Taliban have broken off the shackles of slavery, as you can see from this article. So when the Taliban rolled in, and were like, yep, Islamic law now, they're throwing off the shackles of slavery, the shackles being the West. Again, Pakistan, our greatest ally in the region, siding with our direct enemy. Pakistan to lend to rest. Anyway, moving on. So here to his question about whether women are human or have rights. He has an opinion, and as we can see here, human rights and women rights are different, says the Prime Minister. Khan. There are human rights that humans have, and there are women's rights, which women have.
So women aren't human.
Women aren't human. That's the position of the Pakistani state.
Brilliant.
Very Islamic, my friend. Anyway, I think there's always the joke of like, how many genders are there? According to the SJWs, millions. According to the normal people, there are 2, and according to Islam, there is 1, men, and then women are property.
Yeah.
Anyway, he seems to be taking that quite literally. So he says in here, Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan, during his address at the 17th extraordinary session of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, said that human rights and women's rights are different. We must understand that when we talk about human rights, every society is different. Every society's idea of human rights and normal rights is different, said Prime Minister Khan. The Pakhtunkhwa... I'm not going to bother. Come on.
I wouldn't try it.
Right, so the province, which borders Afghanistan, because the culture is similar there, because the Taliban are predominantly the Pashtun movement, and there are more Pashtuns on our side of the border, and the Premier added, the city's culture is completely different from the rural culture. So, him saying that they're different, therefore they should be allowed to oppress women.
Right.
I mean, this is literally the argument. Just, why should we be allowed to ignore women's rights?
Did he say this with a gun aimed at his head?
He said this at his own conference. This is hosted in Islamabad, in the capital. And he's like, I know what I want to talk about as the host of the city. Women not being human. Right. Anyway. He says, culture in Kabul was always different to culture in rural areas, just like in... foreign word. It is completely different to the culture of the distinct adjoining the Afghan border, said Prime Minister. I will give you an example. We give stipends to girls' child parents to put the girls in school, but in tribal districts or district adjoining Afghanistan, if we are not sensitive to the cultural norms of those people, even with the stipends, they will not send their girls to school.
He's almost sounding like a moral relativist now.
He's just like, right, so these barbarians think that women are property and therefore won't even send their girls to school. So we started giving them money. Like, we started taking money from people as by gunpoint, because that's what taxes are, and sending it over to these barbarians so we could at least convince them, look, send your girl to school and we give you cash. And the barbarians were like, nah, we're not doing that. And instead of just, let's say what the Americans did is integrating the schools racially. They could integrate the schools on sexual basis. No, just not going to bother. Just instead, we must respect their cultural norms of barbarism. So he says in here, but if we are sensitive to their cultural norms, without stipends, they are willing to send their girls to school, said the PM, adding, so this sensitivity, I am afraid, when we are talking about human rights and women's rights, we have to be sensitive about this. So if we're sensitive enough to them, maybe they'll let the girls just go to school. I don't know to what age. I don't know at which point they're then not allowed to go.
Yeah, somehow I don't think this is going to persuade them.
Are they allowed to go to uni? Probably not, I presume. Because no, they're a woman and therefore can't be allowed to do such things. There's no argument there other than we should just excuse barbarism because then they'll be nice to us. I don't know. I don't get what the point is. Anyway,
it's a little bit like hearing conservative politicians talk about Islamic communities having an issue with us teaching about the Charlie Hebdo attacks, isn't it?
Yeah, just no ideas about what's going on, or just excusing it. Frankly,
what we need is discourse, and then they just don't explain the content of that discourse at all.
Yeah, so I think he's just excusing it because he's an Islamist and has run his country like an Islamist for quite some time. I mean, even supporting the Taliban. I mean, could you get any lower? Apparently, yes. So let's move to the next one, which is just the point about him hosting this conference. And in this section, this article is also writing about the same situation, except they mention in here, Imran Khan defends the Taliban at the OIC and is saying Islamabad is fighting for the recognition of the Taliban. the PM reiterates. So Imran Khan told the forum that he had met earlier with the Taliban's finance minister. I don't know why that's a funny phrase. They do with the money. Anyway, so who categorically said that they want to comply with the demands of the international community in order to have Afghan assets unfrozen. That's what it's about. So the assets are frozen. The international community has put those frozen and have put some prerequisites on what they can get to do to get those back, and they're like, you're not having them until you do them. So the prerequisites for the Taliban, that they must uphold humanitarian and women's rights, and that terrorism should not flow from Afghanistan, otherwise financial aid will be cut, their foreign reserves frozen, banks closed. That's very important, said the Pakistani leader. Again, just simping for the Taliban. It's just normal. Our greatest ally in the region over here, Pakistan, simping for our enemies, killed loads of our guys.
Fantastic.
Why are we friends with this country? I do not know. And I will contain it for now. Anyway, so there's the point there made as well. They haven't done any of those prerequisites, so they're not getting the money. It's that simple. Go to hell.
Yeah.
You do any of the normal things, basic rights, then you get your money back. Till then, bugger off.
Yeah.
Unless you're the British government. Because the British government is just sending them money. I'm not even joking.
Oh, of course it is.
Foreign Secretary pledges to support 1.8 million Afghans with life-saving aid. That's how they're going to spin it. In here, Foreign Secretary Liz Truss pledges £75 million UK aid as an emergency aid. Foreign Secretary says that the aid will be used to provide life-saving food and emergency health services, as well as shelter, water, and hygiene services. Number one, who believes it? Number two, could they not just sell some of the guns or the helicopters we left them?
Yeah.
Or the piles of cash. I mean, do you even remember the videos where there's some guy walked in? I think it was like some bank or something. It was literally just bricks and bricks and bricks. And I'm talking bricks the size of chairs of US dollars just lying around. And they were showing off, like, look at what the stupid Americans left. This is even ignoring all the guns, the helicopters, everything else they found. I think it was billions of dollars worth of equipment. And they could sell it on the black market for a tenth of the price and still have loads of money.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Instead of doing that, or instead of just forcing them to be like, our position should be sell the guns, feed your own people. We're not doing it. Bye-bye. You've got the money to do it. You've got the equipment to sell to make that money. If you don't.
Yeah.
No, instead, we're going to send them cash. And in here, she says, the UK support is part of the £286 million it has pledged to give Afghanistan this year to support victims of gender-based violence and to fund essential child protection services. Embarrassing, quite frankly. I don't know why we're sending the Taliban money, because that is what this is. They've got plenty of it. And if they don't, they can sell all the bloody guns and helicopters we left them. Anyway, that's the end of that. That's the debate of whether or not women are human or have rights, according to our greatest ally, Pakistan. Pakistan to lend to rest.
Great.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go over to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the sites, such as this video, which is a speech I gave at one of our live events, in which we read Germany Must Perish. So it's also a book club review, and I won't spoil a thing. Go and enjoy. Also, if you'd like to get updates on what's coming out, you can always follow us on getter.com. That's lotuseaters_com for the @. Thank you and goodbye.